Today we have with us two eminent leaders from the industry. Firstly, Geeta Ramanan, CEO Design Cafe. She is the alumni from BMS College of Engineering. She's been practicing design for last 15 years, comes with a very rich experience in the space of home. She co-founded Design Cafe in 2015 to bring in the element of design technology in design in the space of home interior solutions. Geeta, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Then we have with us Kavita Shastri,
eminent architect from Bangalore, practicing for the last 20 years in the space of home interiors. She is also an alumni of BMS College of Engineering. She is the chairperson of IIID Bangalore chapter. She also founded Code Studio, which works extensively on the community projects. Thank you, Kavita, for joining us. Warm welcome.
Well, I think now before we get into this topic, I just wanted to put some of the facts on the table. Today, homes are at the center of the stage. Everything has changed in the last 18 months. Now, today, the homes are your office, the homes are your schools, everything is happening around these few square feet areas. And this is where we see smart and sustainable living taking the center stage in the industry. Very important for us to put these facts that typically in India, over 15 lakh gigawatt hour energy is spent in the residential space. Almost 25% of the overall consumption what the country is seeing. I think with this current situation, the energy demand in the homes is going to exceed much faster than what we have expected. Probably this is where we need to take a conscious call, how we can work together to make sure the future homes are sustainable and smart. So Geeta and Kavita, that is where we thought we'd dwell upon these topics and bring some very interesting stories for all of our viewers, how we can make this topic a very, very important topic in our design element of the future. Firstly, let me start with Geeta. So what do you see, Geeta? You've been working in this space with a lot of consumers. You've been working in millions of square feet areas in the last couple of years. So how do you see smart and sustainable homes as a future in the future homes?
Okay. I'm going to give you a little introduction of what we do at Design Cafe to set the context. Right. So I spent a decade running an architecture and interior firm. And at this time, we actually worked on projects, right? Whether these were commercial projects, residential, hospitality projects. And especially in the commercial space, there's a lot more awareness around sustainable measures that can be taken, especially in the interior space. But I would like to say that the whole area of this is a lot more advanced in architecture, right? The understanding in architecture and what building materials you can use, what effect that has, that's just so much more advanced. But when you come to the space of interiors, I would like to think that this is best understood in commercial interiors. When we come to residential, right, and this is the space that I've spent the last 15 years on, it's a very, very different landscape. And where Design Cafe works, so we're a tech-enabled home interior solution company. And what I mean by that is we are providing designer home solutions for the aspiring Indian middle class. And this means that these are people who pretty much are buying their first dream home. People who have seen more wealth than many generations combined, who have both rent and EMIs to service. And they have huge aspirations in terms of what their first home will look like, right? So is it true that my customers are actually asking for sustainable and smart solutions today? Not that much. Not that much, right? But that does not mean that the awareness is not building. So from when I started 5 years back to now, in the space of water and electricity, right? And I want to touch upon these two the most because this is where I think we need to take the biggest strides, right? These are the two resources that are the most stressed. And these are the two where we have to take steps whether or not consumers ask for it. So like, for example, in energy, we partner with companies like Schneider because you have solutions that automatically are smarter. Right? So whether it is for the fact that you have automation which allows for appliances that get switched off and lights that get switched off after they're not being used for a certain amount of time. Whether you're talking about the fact that you can automate certain activities based on its usage so that these aren't, they don't go unnoticed, and therefore, the current is just getting used, right? In just so many ways you can actually use this. This is, I think, our responsibility to make sure. But even before that, you have something like LED lights, right? What earlier, like we think of this in the interior industry as what modular kitchens 10 years back was something that few of them aspired to. Now it's almost a standard, right? Whether you actually are doing your home interiors for 2 lakhs or you're doing it for 20 crores, a modular kitchen is kind of standard in your home today. I look forward to the time where LED lights are standard, simply because that is the most energy efficient light source that we have for all of your task lights. Right now, there are other uses after all in interiors. You will have ambient lights, you will have accent lights, you have decorative lights, you have wall lighters, and those are very, very specific task-based lights. Those might be different, but broadly, I think there are huge strides that we have taken, and especially in energy, especially in water. I see that in our space even, that there is a long way that we have come. But I think with respect to decor, with respect to the materials, with respect to several of the other interventions that could be done, I'm sure Architect Kavita will have a lot more aspects that we could delve into as we kind of go forth.
Yeah, I think, thanks Geeta. I think I'm very, very impressed, and I think you guys are very conscious of the fact you are adopting fast to the new normal and you're bringing the tech element in your business. I think very interesting. Let me switch to Kavita. Kavita, you've been working on the home space for long. You've been a veteran in this industry. How do you see this transition happening? How do you see making consumers more aware about this story and making it more conscious?
So I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that, homes are becoming the epicenter of our existence. There was a time when we did interiors and, of course, built homes and dwellings where the client or the customer or the consumer would not really be spending more time in there. But this is one of the outcomes of COVID, that the home is back in the limelight. Everybody is spending so much more time at home. And this brings us to the versatility of home design. So I'm very happy to see that, because they're regaining the importance that they deserve. And people are realizing that a home can be so much more than just a space to live in. Like you said, a home can expand to accommodate an office, a recreation space, a gym, gardens. And coming back to your point as to what are the trends that we are seeing in home design, I would like to say that there was a time when, I had to really struggle to convince a client to incorporate features like verandas, courtyards, and balconies, terraces, even just a garden space on the ground floor, because every inch of space was to be, made use of. So that was something, that we had to struggle with. But now I can see that it's so much easier to convince a client to say that build less, build just how much you need. Don't build more than you need. So I think your design efficiency and your energy efficiency and using your resources efficiently begins with the design brief, where you actually say that I will build just as much as I need. And I'm very happy to say I've got so my practice is really small, and it's a very intimate and personal practice. We just take up about 5-6 projects in a year and devote ourselves to it. And I can see the clients that now are a lot more aware of sustainability, of, building as per the climate. So climate responsive design is going to be even more important and so much easier to kind of make it acceptable to clients. They are happy to go ahead with that. So things like cross ventilation, keeping in mind the path of the sun, and making sure the amount of light that comes in, and making sure you get well lit spaces, so that automatically your consumption of electrical energy goes down. I think these are all very important things that have come to the forefront now. So that is my take on sustainable. The other thing, like Geeta said, is using local building materials, building techniques, and having, don't just go for that aspire for imported materials. Make in India, being self-sufficient, less travel miles. It's becoming easier to convince clients to go with the Kota or the Betum Charla or the Kadapa for flooring instead of a Italian marble. Yeah. So, and I think that's a great thing, that we are taking pride in what is available locally and we are open to using it. The other thing is use of local crafts. So during the lockdown, I had a chance to actually connect with this craft revival group. And I worked on a trends letter. And it's all about how we can incorporate craft and art in our interiors. So that during the pandemic, a lot of artists were out of work. And a lot of traditional arts anyway are on the brink of extinction. So I think this is a great opportunity to do a revival of sorts and to incorporate those in our design. And I can see that the clients are again ready to do this because, all this being on Zoom or being on the virtual platform all the time, that connect to the roots is becoming more and more important. You realize that the world is not as small as we thought it was. So, yeah, that's my take.
Good to hear from you that there's a very strong acceptance and awareness coming in the consumers. I'm like your buzzword of build less and build efficient. I think that's the way things are really becoming. And good to see both of you putting energy efficiency in the core of your design, and that's very, very interesting. And for us, sustainability and smart is a very, very important element in our whole story. I think we at Schneider Electric, we have been working very hard in our innovations every time to make sure it doesn't just remain a buzzword. We make sure that every watt saved is equivalent to a 3 watt which generates. So that's how we are keeping energy efficiency in the center of the stage in everything what we do, and especially in homes, and we want to make it a really, really important element in the design for all of you in the future. Moving from this space, can we talk a little more about the circular economy? I think, one way of sustainability is, making sure, efficiency of this. Other way is, we don't waste resources. That's where we talk about circular economy. Can you talk more about this, and how do you see it in the future in your work?
So one of the reasons we actually moved to this methodology of delivering home interiors from the traditional way, right, was because we just saw the amount of wastage of time and effort that in the end translated to cost in the consumer side, right? And this is not even counting all of the energy and all of the time that goes between the coordination between so many stakeholders, right? So as I remember, and I think this is something that when I actually thought of it that way, I found it startling. You can work on a 100,000 square feet project and work with 30 different vendors to put that together, right? And when you're working on a 1,000 square feet project, you need to work with 30 vendors to put that project together.
Interesting.
It's the exact same thing for a 1,000 square feet home and a 100,000 square feet office, right? But the amount of effort that it takes to put this together, but the translation of that, right? You are not going to pay and compensate everybody's efforts the same way you can in a larger space. So that's where part of this came from, because one of the things with urban India, right, where all of us are moving to apartment living, or not all of us, at least a large number of us are moving to apartment living, it meant that there was some level of modularity that was coming in the building set itself. Okay, and this lent itself beautifully to how can we actually conserve the amount of resources that are involved? Can we standardize something at the back end, but still use our design sensitivity, our knowledge to give each consumer something that is unique at the front? And that's the algorithm that is being built. Because at the end of the day, for example, let me take something as simple as a wardrobe, right? Whether you actually buy a ready-made wardrobe in Bangalore at Shivaji Nagar for 20,000 rupees, or you go to one of the very high-end stores in Bangalore and buy a wardrobe for 20 lakhs. In this range, the wardrobe still has 3 parts to it. There's a hanger, there are drawers, there are shelves. Now there are accessories that come inside, but at the end of the day, that's it. That's the parts, those are the parts that make up the whole, right? I can do it in 100 different ways. I can now do it in so many different materials. There are different sizes, there are different configurations, but at the end of the day, that's all there is to it, right? So it was about understanding what goes into each and every part, providing different ways that this could be combined, so that at the end of the day, the consumer, this consumer who's actually bought a 1,000 square feet home, truly is only paying for getting the best for their home, rather than the effort that is involved in coordinating with 30 vendors, which normally they would have had to bear, right? Which is why, for example, as a design practice, it is important you pay designers full value for that, because it is a lot of work to even put together a 1,000 square feet home. It is, right? And I ran a design practice for a decade. But then the idea was for somebody who's right now going to the neighborhood contractor and therefore not getting the best value for their space, not getting best value for money, not getting their the right material choice, the full range of what is available. At the end of the day, not getting maximum value bang for their buck. How do you actually make sure that they are getting the best home that they can get, right? This is by tech. The only way this was possible was by getting tech involved, where you are connecting all of these systems together so that the effort you put in is distributed across the entire chain. So the whole ecosystem had to get more robust, right? You can't solve a problem like this for a few. The only way this worked was you had to decide from the beginning, when you were 2 of us looking on a big dream, that we wanted to solve this for 100,000 people. So our first goal that we put out was saying, when we have 1 million customers, what should this company look like? And you had to build looking at that.
Very interesting. I like your topic of tech and modularity. I think this is something which will contribute a lot in terms of managing resources very well. Your tech intervention will bring in a more efficiency, and managing resources, be it in any form, would be wonderful. Thank you for that insight. And Kavita, over to you. What are your views on the circular economy?
So I would like to say, I think linear ecosystem is when you take, make, and obviously you have some waste. And the beauty of the circular economy is that the wastage is reduced, and you are going literally in a loop. So how do I apply it to our design practices? So again, coming back to less waste and also use of materials and making it energy efficient and reusing, repurposing, rethinking, renovating, restoring. So I think that's the way of the future, where you can actually look at a piece and, say that, yes, instead of throwing this, I will reuse it. Actually, if I go back, when we were kids, there was this thing of, if something's not working, you repair it. Nowadays, if something is not working, nobody repairs it. You just chuck it and you buy the next new version, So I think there's something to be said about that philosophy, where we actually follow that system, where we can reuse and repurpose and refurbish. So I think if we can incorporate that in our design, it'll be a good way forward.
Excellent. I think reuse, refurbish, renovate. These are the, I think, way of life for the future. I think for us, renovation is a very, very interesting story. Most of our design and most of our innovations are supporting reuse and renovate. I think this is one space which we want to really help the consumers to upgrade to a newer level, so that we build a story which is more sustainable. So coming back to now, I think before we wrap up this session, I just want to really bring in some 2-3 takeaways to our all viewers here. Okay. So Geeta, what are the 2-3 things now? What you would advise all the designers or all the viewers on our call now in terms of bringing in the sense of smart and sustainable in their designs? Now, what are the 1, 2, 3 or very interesting things which you say must?
I think the biggest takeaway is climate responsive design. So that itself will reduce your dependence on energy sources. The second thing is to be self-reliant. And here I'd like to say that, I would like to give you this idea, I'm not sure if you're already doing it, is if you can figure out a way of generating our own electricity. So we're doing that at a site now, and most of the farmhouses is that we have these solar panels, and we generate enough electricity to run the house. Yeah, so if you guys can do that, that'll be great. Like small little kits, which we can fit on the terrace. And the house becomes self-sufficient in its energy needs to start with. Of course, recycling water and, making sure whatever water you get, you use it well and you don't waste it. That would be another big thing. So yes, climate responsive design is one, and using local building materials and technique would be another big takeaway. And again, I think the biggest thing is, let's build as per our need and not as per our greed. So I think this would be my...
Very interesting thought. Meet as per the need, then the greed. I think very interesting thought. Geeta, you want to add something more onto this?
So I must admit, I look at this a little differently, right? Not that I disagree with anything that you said. That's exactly what, as a designer, that's exactly what you should be thinking, right? Think local rather than thinking that what can I get from Italy in the fair? Be inspired, but then don't copy that. But then I think one of the reasons the exposure that we have had over the past 15 years, and one aspect that has changed is just because of how the world has shrunk because of technology, because how now we have access to not just ideas, right, but exactly how to do things from anywhere. What that has taught us is that you can literally take something that is revolutionary and has been built upon over hundreds of years in the West, but apply it today. So take, for example, something that's completely unrelated, like the 4G or 5G network, right? So the West went through every many years of actual change of information systems, of cabling, and we are jumping straight into wireless, into everybody having a mobile. India will have the maximum number of handsets across any other country in the world if we don't already, right? We are able to adopt technology and practices in time with the rest of the world today, and we don't have that lag what we did before, right? What that translates into is that every single person, and when I say designer, this is somebody who is trained to put together a solution for a problem that needs multiple outlooks. That's literally the definition of an architect, right? You have to solve for a problem that needs so many experts to come together, but you're the one who connects all of those dots, right? So when I don't think in any way that, though my mom might disagree, but I don't think I wasted my architecture degree now being an entrepreneur and not running a design practice. Because at the end of the day, problem solving requires you to use the tools that you have at your disposal to go out there. So if today what we're talking about is sustainability, the tools we have are the best in the world. And each and every one of us here sitting, whether we're here in Belgaum, whether we are here in Surat, whether you're in Bhubaneswar or here in Bangalore, we have access to the exact same tools. So the idea that we cannot be at the forefront of giving the best sustainable solutions, it's just not acceptable anymore. every single one of us should be at the forefront of saying, how is it that we can contribute in our space? So you're running a company in Schneider where you are actually creating products that are actually able to add to this. Kavita here is actually running a firm where they create innovative solutions, which they then implement, right? We are doing something different at scale. Every one of us are looking at this with our own point of views. But then what is truly inspiring is how this put together will mean that we are working at the exact same barometer with anybody else in the world. And that's what I find very, very inspiring and very, very interesting to go forward to, that I don't have that lag.
So another important trend that is happening is collaboration. See, I have certain skills and you have certain skills, and there is certain things I can do and I'm limited in certain others. So when we collaborate, we can come up with a more holistic solution, which is doable. So for example, collaboration is like, is the future. Like when I started the Code Studio as part of Triple ID, where we do this community projects, I realized that when I collaborate with another architect or firm, there's so much more that we bring to the table. So that really set me thinking about collaboration. And I really like what you said about an architect donning multiple hats, because that's so true. Because clients come to us with their requirements, but it is up to us to be able to grasp that and to translate it into something which is like a tangible built space. So we have to be a mind reader. We have to be a counselor. Sometimes we have to be a critic. We have to be an advocate. So I think, that's bang on about donning multiple hats.
I'm really happy and glad to see that all of you are already a part of this journey with us. I think it's interesting, probably it's that we are in a perception that the world is still moving slow. But after listening to you, I think I'm more clear, things are getting more traction in the market, and I think it's very, very interesting. From our side at Schneider Electric, we're very clear. We want to focus on 3 important areas to contribute to this story of sustainability and smart living. First one, I think, renovation. I think all solutions and products, everything are designed to support renovation. So this is one area we felt, which was always betrayed. The innovation focus was always centered around the new homes. So I think our very conscious efforts have gone into this place in terms of our design and bringing in new products which are supporting more and more renovation.
That is a very sustainable option.
Yes. Second, bring more and more efficiency in everything what we do. I think for us, energy efficiency at the center of our smart story. So we want to make every home smart in India, so that we bring in more and more energy efficiency, so that we emit less and less from homes. And lastly, you took a very interesting topic of prosumers. I think we are the first one to promote prosumer story in India. We encourage every homeowners to come up with a net zero story. What does it net zero means? Is all about you produce and you consume. So that is what is called, when what you consume and what you produce is equal, that we call it as a net zero homes. This is another interesting story which we want to play in India, and I think this will make a lot of consumers as prosumers. So I think it's a very, very interesting topic, and thanks for all of your time. And before we part, I think any last very parting story from you, which is very impactful, anything you want to share?
So I'd like to talk about a little bit about SWAP, which is a social warehouse project, which again is an initiative of Triple ID, where we upcycle and recycle materials from our site, which are, this is to reduce waste at site. We actually reuse that material in our Code Studio projects. So this initiative reduces the waste at site, and these are usually very, very in good condition, the materials like tiles, stone, leftover granite, even sometimes things that the builder provide to the client, which the client wants to upgrade, like, sanitary fittings, mirrors, even sometimes windows and all they want to change. So, and they're perfectly fine, it's just that it's not to the client's taste or the architect's brief. So we collect that material and we reuse it in our community projects.
Very interesting. Geeta, you want to add anything last?
I'm going to give you a different story here. So I remember 6 years back when we started this, the biggest challenge was factories. And we started out with a very Ola Uber model saying that we won't own anything, that there's so much in the community that we would collaborate with them, right? So like factories in Bangalore, there are 30,000 factories doing furniture, right? The difference is every one of them do commercial furniture, right? One laminate, beach, one MDF, and they will do any drawer, any pedestal, any table you want, and they produce it by the thousands, right? So to tell them that now we wanted thousands, but every single one of them would be different, right? In every room would be a different color and a different texture, because that's how we like our homes, right? We want everybody in the home has a different preference. Somebody likes blue, somebody likes red, somebody likes wood, somebody hates wood. How do you manage that at scale? It actually, and this is the reason we actually became vertically integrated where we came in, but we realized the amount of efficiencies and scale that could be brought in by using technology meant that you were solving for this. You can completely change the perception on the ground and customize for every single person, but still be a business that is profitable, because at the back end you have set yourself up for scale, right? And be modular. Now this is the exact efficiency that we're able to take, where because you're understanding the role so well, we launched this project called Ujjivan, where, especially at COVID times, right, you saw so many people going back homes. And then when the time came for people to come back, the jobs that they had changed. So many jobs have changed their nature completely, right? And how could you make it where somebody who now is struggling for their livelihood and wants a job is able to get trained to actually run a machine, be an operator, right? Technology actually came in to do that, where every one of this was something that could be, and we're sitting here doing a Zoom session, all of these could be recorded and taught to people. This was taught by experts, by expert carpenters, by expert machine operators, to people who are brand new, but who could learn how to do this to minimize mistakes at a single level, which was therefore increasing efficiency and sustainability in the whole. So I'm saying there's sustainability to be brought in everywhere, whether this is in people's effort, which at the end of the day adds up completely with respect to time and money. So it's fascinating.
I love your passion for tech. I think it's a very interesting story what you shared. Thanks for all of your time, both of your time. A pleasure having both of you here. A very, very interesting story. And viewers, thanks for joining us, and happy to partner with all of you in the journey of promoting smart and sustainable living. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for having us.
Thank you for having us.